Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Matty J Plays some more PGA Tour 2K. And I've stopped there because it's time for me to give you my view on all things 2K25. This will be the first in a series of videos where I look at all the mechanics and the gameplay videos we've released so far and give you my take on them, what questions we still need answered, and hopefully give you a bit better understanding of how this game is going to work when we actually get it into our hands on either the 21st or the 28th of February, depending on how much money you're willing to splash out at the start to get this game early. I will be bringing you all the content from the 21st. So without further ado, let's get underway. My take on the new EvoSwing mechanics and the shot bias input that now will plague or be a victory for this game as we move forward into the era of 2K25. Let's go. So let's take a little look at the Evo swing and the mechanics, and I will give you my thoughts on everything regarding this new swing as we play a short clip from their latest gameplay video.
Our franchise has been built on stellar gameplay, and EvoSwing is taking it to the next level, taking into account the lie angle, the golfer's natural ball flight, and any shot shaping when determining the swing input for each shot.
Okay, so this is the first part of the Evo swing I wanted to talk about. So let's move this back a little. And you can see straight off the bat that the Evo swing is very different in how it sets up. Because if you look on its right-hand corner, it is on an angle. And as the lovely developer just said on the voiceover, if you have a bias, which is a fade, then you will have an angle bottom right to top left. If you have a draw, it'll be bottom left to top right. That'll be the natural bias of your swing. So straight off the bat, your swing is automatically on an angle. Then this angle will change depending on various factors, one of which being the lie. So when you're in a fairway or, around the green or in the rough, your lie angle will determine the severity of this angle. So again, it can move out more this way or pull it back more that way, depending on the lie angle. That's one. And also the shot type you pick will also vary this angle. The club you pick will vary this angle. So there is a lot of stuff going into this swing bias. And the final element is the shot shaping you put on it. So, I mean, there's a lot that can move this angle. This video pretty effectively demonstrates how the shot shaping can affect it. It's obviously a tee shot, so there's no lie impact in this. So this is the golfer's natural bias before he does anything to his shot. You have to swing bottom right to top left to produce your fade. You will pick your bias in the My Player. So let's let this play out so you can see. Tells you down the bottom, it's a natural fade. This is his natural swing. His swing stick is obviously, shot shaping is in the middle, and his angle of attack is in the middle. As you move this shot shaper, so he's going to put a draw on it, you will see the fade will move back towards the draw. So let's just show you that.
Taking into account the lie.
There you go. You can see it's moving back. You're getting more and more. So this is a normal shot, but even the normal shot, as this calls it, is not quite dead straight. It's not far off, but it's not quite dead straight. And I don't think you can ever get to dead straight. And then watch what happens when he pushes this out for more of a draw. Boom, it jumps. See that big jump? And now it's completely the other way. So he's applied a draw. You can see from the arch of his shot, he's gone for a draw on this shot. So it's very interesting to see straight off the bat. You can actually change this by applying draw or fade. So if your bias is fade, apply some draw, and it straightens it up. So you can kind of straighten up your swing, but never, ever, ever fully straight. And then let's talk about also the club and the shot type that will affect this. So when you start, if we go back to his start, his original swing, his 100% swing, hitting a driver, hitting a tee shot, this is 100% of his bias will be applied to this type of shot. So if you're hitting a driver and you're hitting a full driver, you will have 100% bias and 100% bias for the full shot. Now, if you change your shot to a choke, so a choke up shot, which is a new shot type, which produces 10% of power from a full shot, you will have a 90% bias. So this little bit will move a little bit more to the left. If you change to a punch shot, it's 80%, so keep moving it left. If you change to a pitch shot, it's 65, flop 50, splash 50, chip and putt are 0% bias, so it should just be straight up and down. So that's good. They've identified that the different shot types you play will reduce your bias. So hitting full shots, you have your full bias in play. The the less length of a shot you hit, the less bias comes into play. So I like that. I like that. That makes kind of sense and plays more like natural real golf. It also depends on the club you hit. So a driver, you will always have 100% bias applied. So this is the driver. If you were hitting a wood here, you'd have 90% of that bias applied. If you're hitting a utility club, so a hybrid, etc., you will have 80% of that club applied. If you're playing at irons, is 65% of the bias, wedges are 50, and putter is 0%. So it's definitely different. It's definitely new, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see if everyone decides to play this way. Because we'll get into that in a bit. But if you turn bias off, which you can do, um, then this just becomes a straight up and down swing. And in my opinion, when we come to talk about the swing in a second, the swing is going to be a lot easier if you do that. So I think everyone will need to play on bias, but it'd be interesting to see what TGC Tours do. Because pretty much most people take their lead from TGC Tours, and if they turn bias off, then I guess everyone will. But that'll be disappointing because I feel like they've put a lot of effort into it for this game. And it's very similar to EA. EA had a bias and I switched it off straight away. I've since gone back and tried to play, and it's really difficult. And it also will stop the cheats. I'm sure they'll find a way. But having to constantly change your swing angle means you can never really program, if you have a programmable device, these swings as effectively as you could before. Now, there'll still be ways to cheat, and we'll come on to that in terms of push, pull, and your contact point and your swing line. But in terms of the bias, I like it. So I hope it stays. There are options to turn off this original bias. So this, depending on your shot type and your club. But there is also options to turn off the context bias. And by the context bias, I mean when you apply draw or fade. So what I showed you in this part of the video. So when you start to apply
EvoSwing is
the
taking it
draw
to the
or
next
fade
level,
here,
taking into account the
that
lie
won't do
angle,
anything
the
to the
golfer's natural
bias.
ball flight, and any shot.
So that's interesting. And also, as he just said, the lie on the ground will also change the bias, and you can turn that off. So it'll be interesting to see what settings everyone lands on. But certainly, I think this is going to be an exciting time, and probably a lot of the EA players will be very happy it's their swing. If they've been playing this way, their swing will be adapted to that anyway. I certainly think 2K ranked will be set with bias on, so you're not going to get away from it if you like to play ranked play. So yeah, interesting, like it. But let's move into the main part of this new EvoSwing. Bias aside, it's the actual swing, and you can see a little bit of it in this, but we'll wait till they slow it down.
Shaping when
So if
determining
you
the
look at the
swing input
swing,
for each shot. EvoSwing emphasizes
it's
precision
very
inputs
different.
over
You
the
have
swing
4
timing of the
inputs,
past.
and we will
Don't
come on to
worry,
them all
3 click is
individually.
evolved right alongside swing stick. Both swing input types.
And just to note there, 3-click is back and is apparently evolved. We shall see. I've seen no footage of free click yet, just that we know it's back.
Are made up of 4 parts, as you can see here in our swing feedback meter.
So here we go. So this is the swing in all its new glory. So this gray bar is where you set your power. This black bar, if you can see it, is the 100% power. So this shot, I believe they're going for 90% power. This blue bar that starts moving from the middle out is essentially your power line. So on the old game, you'd have a power bar that would go up here and you'd watch it as you pull back. And then when you hit the distance you want to hit, which would be a white marker, on this one, it's a gray line, but as opposed to the white marker, once you get that distance, you push forward. So that will determine if you hit the correct distance you're looking for. So if you're going for a 90% shot, you land directly on that line, you'll hit it 90%. If you don't land on that line, if you go past that line, you hit it, 95, 100. If you go past the black line, 100, 105, 102. If you land before that line, it's shorter. My one concern about transition is, can you turn this off? So when I played the game, I just relied on vibration to know when I wanted to swing forward. I turned this power bar off very early. Same with putting. I don't know if you're going to be able to switch this off in the game. So am I just going to be watching the bottom right of the screen and playing a little mini game with myself to try and land the blue line on this gray? I don't know. So I don't like watching it. That's why I turned the meter off. It was very distracting and I wasn't watching what was going on the course. I was just watching the bottom right corner. So I'm hoping beyond hope there is a way to turn this off. But I don't know if it will, because the whole swing mechanic seems to be all tied together. You get the 4 outputs. So I don't know. That's a question I still have. But in terms of transition, it's very similar to the old game. You pull back, this blue line starts moving. You push forward when you hit the designated power you want. So that is transition. It is purely power based.
Transition, the expanding ring, sets the power and distance control. During the
Now, this part, the backswing. So the backswing is part of what would be the old swing path. So in old money, you would have a straight up and down line. So essentially, if you drew a white line between these two contacts and you take these two gray parts and drew the gray line down, that is the old swing. And the old swing does exactly the same as I can gather as this new swing, but this was all just one attribute in the old one, which was called swing line or swing path. So if you missed it at the bottom and missed it at the top, your shot would take different shaping. On this game, they've split it. So the bottom is your swing path. So when you pull back and you're doing your power, you have to hit this white nodule at the bottom. So you have to hit that. And if you miss it on either side, that'll determine whether you push or pull the shot. So same as before, exactly the same mechanic. When you pulled back, and if you missed the dead straight line, you would push or pull it. So it's exactly the same mechanic as it was before, but it's in 2 component parts. So let's let him play this through and tell you about it.
the backswing, the swing path of the bottom sets the push-pull of the shot. The rhythm.
There we go. There we go. So that is push pull for swing path. What I do like is that that is an attribute you can set on its own. The third attribute then is the rhythm. So previously on the old 2K games, rhythm would be your kind of downswing tempo. So when you pull back, pick your power, hit your spot at the back, then you push forward. The faster or slower you push forward will determine your rhythm, and you'll either hit a slower or fast. The term red fast was born from this. In the last game, it was grey fasts became a thing. But the fasts would and slows would either remove or add distance to your club, but also change ball flight. Now, in 2K25, the rhythm only adds or removes distance, doesn't impact ball flight as far as I can tell. No video has shown it impacting ball flight. When it comes up on the left-hand side in terms of the details of the shot, it just gives you power feedback. And again, this is going to be very similar to the last game, but before you'd have the marker up here, this is completely different and a new-ish element to the swing. But let's get through this. So the blue line then obviously contracts. You have to hit the right rhythm. If you hit the right rhythm, you get a perfect shot and you won't lose any distance. So they will take you through that now.
The collapsing ring applies a distance control modifier to the shot. During the
Makes sense. Then during the downswing, obviously you're going to hit the ball, and this is called contact. So this refers to the point where the club meets the ball. Again, this will determine hook or slice of the ball, or a closed and open contact, as they call it in the game. So again, the bottom part of the swing, you can push or pull. The top part of the swing, you can hook or slice. So an open and closed contact, a push or a pull, and that will determine the ball flight. That is exactly the same as the swing path in 2K23. Don't be duped into anything different. Don't think it's anything different. The only difference being is these are now separate attributes that you can put all your stock in. So if you were brilliant at hitting a straight line back, then you wouldn't need to really expand this line at all, and you could take some attribute points out of that. If you were terrible at hitting the mark at the top, you can put some attribute points into this. So theoretically, you can make this bit way bigger, this bit way smaller, and just cater to your own personal swing. So I kind of like that. Before, the kind of the swing line would just get bigger or smaller depending on if you put all your skills into swing path. Now, swing path will do just this part, contact will do this part. So I like the split. I don't mind it. But it's going to be interesting to see how this actually plays and feels in our hand. Does it feel exactly like 2K23? We shall find out, hopefully soon.
downswing, the contact at the top sets the hook slice of the shot. All right,
As I just said. So you can see there, the backswing, he missed it to the right, which resulted in a 2.24 degree pull. And then his contact was closed, so a minus 5.55 degree closed contact. So again, all this has sent the ball left, essentially. -5 and -2, so that's -7.79. So it's going 7.79 that way. So again, I think you can probably diddle this. Like if you see, so again, you're going to be watching this bottom right corner. If you see you miss it right, do you then miss it right at the top to adjust it back? Um, or whichever way round it is. I don't know which way round will be which. But if you have all this feedback as you're playing, the blue line, again, if you underswing and you missed your mark and you stopped it way too early, do you jab it forward as fast as you can to get an overpowered shot to make up for the power you lost? So it certainly has a lot of elements to it where you can play the game and fiddle it as much as you want. But I love the fact that it's all customizable with your attribute points, the contact you can change, the swing path you can change, the transition. So I'm assuming this circle and the timing of that you can change, and the power you can change. The questions I have, as I said earlier, and what I'd like to see answered through either gameplay or when the YouTube creators who are lucky enough to be to the advanced play gets their hands on it and let us know what's going on, is is this swing a lot easier? Because to be fair, there's only 2 points now that determine if your swing goes push pull or draw fade hook slice. There's only two elements, and then the other elements, the rhythm and the transition, are for your power. So interesting. I do like it. I like the bias. I hope people stick with the bias. I hope it becomes a thing and people play with it and everyone just doesn't switch it off straight away. Otherwise, this swing is way, way, way too easy. This swing just becomes who can swing it the straightest. And that for me isn't golf. Um, the other question I have is around the rhythm. Do you need to calibrate anymore? Is the rhythm the same for everyone? So does everyone have to have the same rhythm? In one of their videos, they said your downswing has to be 3 seconds quicker than your backswing. But does that mean you can set the pace of your backswing through calibration? Um, all stuff that need to be answered for me. And like I say, until I get my hands on the game, I won't know exactly how this all plays out, but I cannot wait to find out. And that is my little take on the EvoSwing and its mechanics. If you have any questions, guys, please leave them in the comments and I will try to answer them as soon as I get my hands on the game or if I get any more detail. But as far as I can tell, swing looks good. Bias is an interesting factor that I can't wait to see how that transpires to the game. And certainly being able to adjust all the four different elements is great, but please let me be able to remove this power meter because I don't want to see it. I just want to watch the golf. That's how I am. But there we go, guys. My take on the new EvoSwing in 2K25. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, smash the like button. Please leave a subscribe, and I will return shortly with my take on the new archetype set of 2K25. So watch this space. Peace out, and thanks for watching.